Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and I'm a little bit spun out because I had two cards in my hand. One was this little flimsy one here, and the other one was a normal size business card, and they were together on the side here, and one has just completely disappeared, and I've looked everywhere and it's just not on the floor. It's one of those things. It's been abducted by business card fairies. I don't know, just gone. Anyway, the other day I went out on my quest for yarn. I've been doing a little feature, the quest for yarn on the high street, and I bought some yarn from a place in Faversham. Well, actually I bought a place from three places in, well, there were three places in Faversham. I did buy yarn from two of them, and this was kind of brought to my attention by Sharon. Thank you, Sharon, one of my subscribers who lives not too far from me, and she mentioned the shop to me before, and then she mentioned in one of her comments that they had a mini yarn festival. So I said, oh okay, I might just go along. So off I went, and funnily enough, as soon as I got out the car, I bumped into Sharon. So that was really kind of nice to finally meet one of my subscribers after all this time of doing this, and finally met somebody who is a subscriber and who watches my videos. Is kind of cool. But yeah, weird really. I think it's because I don't really go out. I don't mean I don't go out, but I don't go to places like Yarndale and, you know, all the yarny places that are around. So this is one of the yarns that I purchased, and it's called the Little Grey Girl. This is her carrier bag, and this, believe it or not, is this slither is her business card. It's very small, but it's got everything it needs to have on it, I guess. And here it is. So she is a yarn dyer, and I had a little look at her website, and she has some lovely project bags on there and some hand-dyed yarn. Now, hand-dyed yarn, as we all know, is expensive, but I did buy a couple of skeins, and look at these. Aren't they just gorgeous? They really are beautiful. Colours really kind of attracted me. I love these. Now, this is, I'm going to have to put my neck light on to read these yarn bands. It's called Alwyn. It's called Suri Silk Cloud, 74% baby Suri alpaca, 26% silk. They're 50 grams, 300 meters. So they are a very thin yarn. We've got some strand here. That's a knot, so it really is thin. Now, normally I don't use thin yarn, but I got talking to her, and for the life of me, cannot remember her name, but she had quite a lot of yarn hanging up on little hooks, you know, like this, looking tantalizing, saying, bring me home, take me home, that sort of thing. But most of it I'm allergic to. A lot of there was lots and lots in this yarn festival. There were lots of dyers and various people setting up little stalls within the shop, and there were about 3 or 4 little rooms to go to. And I settled on this one because alpaca is kind of a hypoallergenic yarn, and I'm not allergic to it, obviously. So she had a lot of mohair. It was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous yarn. But I couldn't work with it. There was just no way I could touch it. So yes, they are roughly around £22 something per skein. It's about right for what you see around the shop as well for others. But she did give me a little discount, so I got the two for £40. So in a way, I've never bought two 50-gram balls of yarn that have cost me quite so much money in my life. But because it is thin, there is an awful lot of yarn here, and a couple of things that she'd worked up, she'd paired it with another strand of regular kind of yarn and made a shawl from it, and it really was lovely. And maybe I think that might have been one of the other yarns that she showed me, but it was the same principle. So I did get it because it is quite a lot of yarn for that money. And that is the little grey girl. She does have some absolutely gorgeous yarns, some really, really beautiful things on her website. But you know, it is a very kind of fashionable type niche, don't you find? The hand dyeing and keeping up with kind of that sort of caliber of yarn is very expensive. So that was really all I purchased in that shop, mainly because I have some wholesale purchases that I want to make, plus I have to pay for my advertising, so I couldn't really splash the cash as much as I wanted to. So Sharon told me about the other yarn shops. One of them is a yarn shop, and the other one is, well, it's a sewing yarn, and the other one was just one of those big shops, you know, that sell everything with a bit of yarn in, but they tend to sell King Cole in there. So first of all, I made it to the other yarn shop, which is also for sewing and other bits and bobs. And they had Rico yarn in there. Now, heaven knows how they managed to get Rico yarn, because when I tried, I would have had to buy it by the pallet load. And I can't imagine that the little bit of yarn they stock in that shop is sold ever by the pallet load or bought by the pallet load. And not only was it more money than I wanted to pay for yarn, it was also extremely rough. Everything I picked up, I don't know whether my hands are mega sensitive at the moment. I can't see it personally, but everything I picked up seemed to have a roughness. So I said, I'm not buying anything from in here, and I left the shop. So then I went to this big store, which Sharon will put probably in the comments. The name escapes me. It's a bit of a kind of a pound stretcher shop, but it's not. It's called something else, and I don't think they've got a chain. I think it's just a one-off. Well, they sell everything from pots and pans to garbage bags and yarn, and also books and stuff like that. So it was a decent shop to have a little mooch around. Not that we spent very long. We had to get back for something. So I just bought a couple of different yarns in there. As you know, I stock King Cole in my shop, hobbyrocks.co.uk, but I've not placed a King Cole order for a very long time, because in the beginning I did a massive King Cole order and then I did another. So I have rather a lot of King Cole yarn, and I didn't want to buy any more until I'd got rid of quite a bit of it. And plus it's taken ages because I get so much. I really did get so much. I have been obviously I've been selling it, but I've not been replacing it. And some of the things I've been discontinued and I've taken off, but one day I will go back to ordering from them. But I've been trying to bring in other brands, and I would like to get, I did speak to this young lady whose name escapes me, because I would like to bring in some hand dyed yarns to my shop. And she did give me a piece of paper. Is this it? Yeah. No, that's somebody else's piece of paper that they gave me. But she did give me a piece of paper with where I can get hold of a yarn dyeing kit for beginners, and I'm going to try, I think, and give it a go. So it won't be imminently, it'll be some time away, but I will. I might even put it on my Christmas list, because I've been asked to write a Christmas list. I might even put that on there so that that's what I do in the new year. Yeah, I think I might, because it would be like a little project for Christmas, wouldn't it? So I might start after Christmas having a little play with it. But I wouldn't mind putting some hand dyed yarns in my shop. But, you know, they are not cheap, let's just say. So I went into this other shop whose name I've forgotten, which is quite bad of me. And I had a look at the King Cole yarn that they had there. The majority of that yarn was the cheap stuff, you know, the budget. And I didn't really want any of that. They also had Premier yarn, which is quite an underrated yarn, I think. But it is one of those budget brands that you do see in many of those kind of high street sell it all little shops that are usually run this is not to be racist in any way, but usually they're run by Indians. So there are a couple of them in Chatham, and I've bought from them before. They are really, really, and they tend to do King Cole, which is maybe where they get the kind of same wholesaler, if you know what I mean. I'm not sure. But Premier Yarn, I have got a bit of it. They do some lovely colours, but it tends to be more or less solid colour yarn, and it's the cheaper end of the scale. So I didn't buy any of that, and I didn't buy any of the cheaper King Cole yarn. However, I did buy some glitz and some other yarn. So I want to show you this. Gary found this. He said, oh, you should get that. And I thought at the time when I saw it, that would be good for maybe some Christmas projects, or to make something for yourself, but not to have this the only colour. And it is this one. I bought some gold glitz, and my eyes went straight to it because it really is quite golden. And I know from experience the King Cole glitz yarn is lovely. I've got some of it. I've got some of the Christmas, the Halloween. I've got some of the colours, and I do have a little tiny bit in my shop, hobbyrocks.co.uk, but I don't have much. Now, they are without a doubt gorgeous, are they not? This is absolutely beautiful. So I did buy. I was only going to get a couple, but Gary actively encouraged me to pick up more. So in a way, there is more, believe it or not. I've got one more and I can't get it. 6 I bought, and I'm knocking the other yarn about. So let me just put this down for a second. But yeah, see, Gary is a yarn enabler. Just saying. You know what most other like people I speak to, their other halves are, don't buy any more yarn. Why do you need more yarn? What on earth are you doing buying yarn? Not Gary. It's, oh, well, you should get some more of that. And I'm sorry, I don't hire him out. Okay, so let's have a look then. 100 grams is 97% premium acrylic, 3% polyester. The polyester part is not scratchy in the slightest. Approximately 317 yards or 290 meters. And this one's called Antique Gold. I didn't buy any of the other colours. They did have a silver, but it looked more grey, so I didn't get it. And I have got some really, really shiny silver yarn already, and some pink metallic, and lots of others that are glitzy, and I didn't need any more. So I just bought 6 of those, and it is beautiful stuff, I have to say. And then some time ago, when Sophia was little, I made her a blanket and then a scarf from King Cole Yummy. And I also did it with King Cole Funny Yummy, which is a loop and then a strand and then a loop, then a strand. So I kind of made her the 2 things with it. And funnily enough, she said to me the other day, I can't find that scarf. So I did think I have still got some more of that yarn somewhere. If I can find it, maybe I'll do something with it. But I bought a couple of yummies, and I only got this particular colour because I've got James C. Brett Flutterby, and I wanted to compare it because I think this is thicker. It does seem thicker. Obviously it's softer than any of those that you get from Aldi, apart from that Aldi baby chenille that was willowy soft and had a real massive sheen to it. Now this is very similar. It's got a sheen, but it's not like that I'm talking about. The Aldi one was very drapey, but this one is quite thick. So I wanted, as you know, many of you who watch me regularly, I'm making some baby booties. Here they are. And I'm going to be doing the tutorial, hopefully today or when I can, for these. And I wanted to see if I could make them with this, because this is definitely thicker. So I got 2 of those. I didn't buy much because if I do make anything, it will probably be mittens, booties and hat, and that'll be all she wrote. So I didn't buy much of this. I do have a little bit in my own stash of the Yummy and Funny Yummy, but it is a tiny amount now. Didn't tell you much about this, did I? How very remiss of me. So the only thing I will say is that in that shop, this was not cheap at all. It was somewhere around £4.99 or £4.59, something like that. It wasn't, I looked at the price at the time. It might have even been more. I don't know if I've still got the bill. Let me just check. Bear with me a second. Now I'm really sorry, I just pressed the wrong button, so I don't know if I've messed up the end of this video or not. It shouldn't have messed up. There is a bill in... Oh, is it a bill? No, it's a tab that said $7.99 on it. Something else that we bought. But I have a little bill, but when I looked at it, it wasn't itemised. That was the only thing. It just had a price. But I thought I could kind of discern it. Now, some of these places, they do the gun, you know, and put the price on. But this one doesn't. And so I want to say it was about £5, or maybe it was either £4.50, £5 or £5.50. So it wasn't cheap, really. In terms of hand-dyed yarn, it was mega cheap. But, you know, for one of those cheapy shops, I don't find it particularly cheap. Now, I don't remember how much this was either. But as a shop, for things like this, I found it as dear as a yarn shop. Whereas usually places like Pound Stretcher and all those others are cheaper. Even places like, we've got a shop in Sittingbourne, in the shopping centre itself, where they sell everything from handbags to bongs. They also sell King Cole yarn much cheaper than this guy was selling King Cole yarn. So, no, they sell James C. Brett, what you're talking about. But you know what I mean? They do it cheaper, but they do buy the cheaper end. And although that had the cheaper end, I didn't find it cheap. Does that make any sense? So that was what I got on my Yarn Fix quest for yarn, which obviously I did the other day because the festival was on the weekend, but I knew I couldn't put the video up until now. So this is my Yarn Quest one for this week, High Street Yarns. It's not exactly high street, although there is a shop. It's called, what is it called? Something like the Yarn Emporium. I can't remember now. But Sharon will no doubt put me straight. A Yarn Exchange? Something like that. It's in Faversham. And yeah, it's very, very a connoisseur of real yarn, you know. It's not like you can really go in there. Everything they have, even stuff you buy on a ball, is expensive. It's all expensive high-end yarn. There wasn't anything remotely £5 in there, you know. So, you know, I think, to be honest with you, I've come to the conclusion that there are a few different types of yarn buyer. You have your cheap and cheerful high street shops like Poundland and Aldi and B&M people. You have people who like yarn shops and buying online the yarns that you can't really get in the high street. And then you've got the high-end yarn users, which, you know, people often refer to as yarn snobs. But, you know, I think they're just people who like quality, and mostly they are natural fibres, you know, like the alpaca and different types, suri. You know, they are kind of more connoisseurs, if you like, of the yarn and the stuff that we all love. As Granny D would call it, what does she call it? Bougie yarn. It's definitely bougie yarn. But what I will do with it, I have no idea yet. I will probably pair it with another yarn so that it's thicker. But we'll come to that later on, I guess. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the different types of yarn. What do you like? Do you buy hand dyed? How much do you pay for it if you do? Things I'd like to know. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.